like drug use can be passed on from one generation to the next because like, well, my dad did this. My dad drank when he got home. My dad smoked a pack of
Oh,
cigarettes when
or
he got
yeah,
home.
that's how
You
you
know,
rely.
yeah, and it's like that's just what you do after you get home from a hard day's work. You get a shot of scotch and then you have a cigarette. And well, that guy's father probably observed his father doing it, and it just goes on forever. Welcome, welcome to Internet. Are you okay? Where we dissect the web's craziest stories to determine what's really going on from a mental health perspective. I'm your host, Patrick Ward. I'm a trained neuroplastician that specializes in memory reconsolidation, which means I help people with their painful memories and I help them change those stories in their heads so they can start feeling lighter, freer, and more at peace. I'm joined today, as always, by my wife, Lauren. How you doing, Lauren?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
What do we got today?
Okay, this one's a long one, but lots of complex family issues. So I'm excited to hear what you think. All right. So she
People
writes
will
in,
probably be able to relate.
yeah, oh, for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
So this is pulled from a Reddit Am I the A-hole thread.
Okay.
And this potential a-hole, just kidding, says, I, 30 female, am proud of my ability to navigate through conflict in a healthy, respectful way. I grew up around adults who are incapable of doing the same. This dynamic has existed for generations in my family. Substance abuse has been passed down and has remained unchecked and deeply secretive. My siblings and I were constantly walking on eggshells. An argument in our household felt like the end of the world. Children were not allowed to express concerns or set boundaries. Constructive criticism was seen as a personal attack. The lines between parent and child were blurred beyond recognition. Despite this, I have sympathy for our family. I understand this is generational. The way I was made to feel as a child is the way my mother was made to feel as well. These cycles are difficult to break. It's complicated, but I love my mom. As my siblings
Kind
and
of
I
an
have
odd
done.
thing to say, don't you think?
I'm sorry?
It's kind of an odd thing to say, don't you think?
Which
It's
part? Like,
almost speaking as if she's gone through years and years of therapy, don't you think?
yeah,
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Keep
That's
going.
okay. As my siblings and I have gotten older, we've been able to talk to her about these things. Yeah, so maybe it was like therapy to get to that point with the mom,
Yeah. Yeah.
but not all as well. When we were young, I begged my aunt to help us. I told her everything that was going on in our house. She said, That's awful. I had no idea. And then nothing, not even a follow up. It was like it didn't happen. Switching course again. I've been with my fiance for 6 years. He's one of the main reasons why I can reflect on my childhood with such clarity. The more I shared with him, the more he shared with me. He told me he struggled with an eating disorder since he was 12. 2 years ago, his eating disorder worsened. It was really, really bad. I barely recognized him. He finally agreed to go to treatment. While he was there, I told my family about some comments they've made that could be triggering to him. This should have been simple, but aside from my mom, they wouldn't know a healthy conversation if it shot him in the head. My grandma's reaction was, Fine, I'm a horrible person. I'll never speak again. My aunt didn't answer for days, then finally replied, You could have said that more nicely. A few months ago,
I
during
think his family is extremely religious. I'm
oh,
going to make a bet. I'm not going to say which, but I bet they're extremely religious.
okay, well, it's about to be a little revealed a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
A few months ago during Easter brunch,
Oh,
my
there you
aunt said she saw a woman jogging on her driveway and the woman was huge. I shook my head at her. She said, I'm just saying, do people that big really think a light jog is going to do anything? My fiance looked at me, but it was like he was looking through me. I could tell he was close to tears. I lost my mind. My grandma tried to get me to stop because, and I quote, it's Easter. I said it made sense that my aunt has been told to stop making these comments for years and then pretend she was never told, considering she did the same thing when I begged for her help as a child. When she said my fiance was making things worse by crying, I told her she was no longer invited to our wedding. I haven't spoken to her since. My mom and siblings support my decision. My grandparents do not. I'm posting this because I still feel guilty. No matter how weird it might sound, I worry I was too harsh. I know half of my family thinks I'm an a-hole for this. What do you all think?
go.
There's so much there. It really goes back to that feeling ignored by her aunt as a child, doesn't it?
Probably, yeah, probably. And like you said, there's a significant amount there. She,
There's so much backstory that it wasn't really related to that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, jump
Which,
in. What do you
I
got?
think a common issue that I have with these is that sometimes when I'm sent them, a lot of them seem fake. This one actually genuinely seems real, uh,
Yeah.
just because it's not as connected as people would like them to be. There's no like running theme or throughout. It just seems to be like a snapshot of this person's head and everything that's going on within it, which makes me think, yeah, this is probably a real one.
And she glossed over what she said to her aunt. She just said like I blew up or whatever. She didn't actually say
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
could have been bad. Not to say she's not justified in her feelings, but
Right. Yeah.
we don't know what she said or did.
Yeah. So things that immediately come to my mind when I heard this is that a lot of generational patterns are going on. And that's common. That's very common. We tend to act like the people that raised us. And there are many reasons for this. You can say it's genetics and whatnot. Really, it's just from my perspective as a neuroplastician, we tend to make copies of everyone we've interacted with in our own head, and that way we can continue to interact with them when they're not here. And so it's quite common for daughters to behave like their mothers and mothers to behave like their grandmothers and so on and so forth. And the cycle, who knows how far back the cycle goes, but people make copies of their loved ones in their head, and it just happens. It just sort of naturally happens. I call them holographic imprints, basically, and which is one of the reasons why, like drug use can be passed on from one generation to the next because, well, my dad did this. My dad drank when he got home. My dad smoked a pack of
Oh,
cigarettes when
or
he got
yeah,
home.
that's how
You
you roll
know,
out.
yeah, and it's like that's just what you do after you get home from a hard day's work. You get a shot of scotch and then you have a cigarette. And well, that guy's father probably observed his father doing it, and it just goes on forever. And so she's got this family that appears to be a family of alcoholics. I mean, did she basically say that? I forget.
It's substance abuse.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could just say that's it, and it's probably pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we tend to repeat patterns, and it's by design. Our brains are built to be tribal, and when you don't fit into the tribe, one of the first things that could happen is you get kicked out. If you get kicked out of the tribe, you die. From a historical standpoint, we have to stick with the tribe. So that means we act like the people we grew up with. Um,
And
and
she's
so,
not.
well, she's trying to break the cycle.
Yeah.
She's trying to, but I'm curious. I'm very curious that if I were to get her on her own, I'd be like, okay, well, is there anything that you are abusing? It may not be alcohol, it may be something else. For her, it might just be some form of escapism where like whether it's shopping, scrolling social media, or it might be another form of another drug that it's a little less noticeable by people. Um, I was working with a woman, it was a while back, but she had a lot of sexual abuse and her parents were alcoholics, but she's very adamant, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm not an alcoholic. But I was like, okay, well, what's the benefit to you? Because generally when we have all these traumas, there's a benefit to holding on to it. And what's the benefit to holding on to this trauma? Like, what is it you're doing? What's one good thing that comes out of this? And she admitted that she would allow herself to like basically take more, like an extra dose of her anti-anxiety pill
Oh.
every day, and that kind of helped her chill out. It's like, okay, so that's the benefit to holding on to this trauma because you have this little reward system at the end of the day where she's probably looking forward to it. And so I would be curious, does she have something that she's kind of trying to hide from the public view? But yeah, like I say, with every video, we don't know, but that's a question I would ask, and I would ask her like, is there something that you're abusing?
Yeah.
Because while she may not be an alcoholic, I bet she's replaced it with something.
Could just be a lot like she's so analytical with all this stuff and positioning herself in a certain way, like in contrast with her family and the way she grew up. Like I
Mhm.
wonder if it's even just like an academic or like
Like an
therapy.
academic pursuit, like a dopamine hit from gathering knowledge.
Yeah, or just
Mhm.
like that identity of contrasting herself from the rest of her family. Maybe
Mm,
it's not like, an addiction, but it's like an identity issue for sure.
Interesting. And like we said, it's pretty clear like she's been going to talk therapy for a while, and like she has that jargon throughout
Yeah.
her little piece here.
Well, what do you think about the aunt relationship?
Well, I wanted to talk about her fiance for a second because she's defending her fiance from her family, right? And she's gone through years, we speculate she's gone through years of talk therapy, which means something happened when she was younger and makes you kind of question like is she defending her fiance or is she finally lashing out over something that happened, right? And it might just be like, okay, I finally have a good enough reason to truly express my anger. I was afraid to express my anger beforehand, but now not so much because I have a good reason. I need to protect this person whom I love. Um, but yeah, it makes you wonder what.
Really interesting. Yeah, yeah.
And her family, it's clear that that family is just a really packed to the brim with very, very eccentric personalities. And they came through with just one or two lines of dialogue in this piece. And so you know, like, wow, if I can kind of get an idea of who this person is just from that one line, it's like, yeah, she's living with a house.
Grandma, you've got the aunt.
Yeah, very, very strong personalities. And I would bet that as a kid, if she just didn't feel on par with keeping up with those personalities, she stayed quiet.
Mm,
And, in the process of staying quiet, all this anger built and built and built until finally, like I just said, like she had a reason to finally release it because
yeah.
you can attack me all day long, but you're not going to attack him.
Right. Yeah.
You
It's
know?
interesting though that the target, like it almost seems like she'd made peace with her mom, which from the beginning is the one she had the issues with in childhood. But
Mhm.
now it's like the aunt and maybe even the grandma who the conflict is arising with.
Yeah, it sounds like a therapist has brought it to her attention. It's like, well, your mom sounds a lot like your aunt, and you're like all these people, all these personalities are probably just kind of built in. And
Yeah.
so, oh, while she may have technically made peace with one, she's got three or four carbon copies she still has to deal with, and
Right.
so that's what's kind of going on. Um, but yeah, well, what did you brought up the aunt? What do you think about the aunt? What stood out to you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you kind of feel like, well, if the whole family knows this is a sensitive topic for the fiance, maybe try to filter yourself, but at the same time, like just with older people, sometimes I don't know, maybe not that, but with certain types of people, they're just not going to do that. Is that something worth ruining a relationship over? I don't know. Like I think that's a common theme for a lot of people. I've tried to work this out and say what I want from you in my family, and you're not giving it to me.
Right. And like I've
You
heard you
where do you
say
go?
many times, that person's not meant to be anyone for you. They're meant to be themselves. And I think that's a common hurdle for people is realizing, oh, this person, even though like they're my aunt, they're my mom, they're just their own person. And at the end of the day, you have to let them be who they are. They're not there to fill any void for you. What writer was it that said you are your after like 35, you're responsible for your own face?
Oh yeah.
It's like it's kind of the same thing with your mental health. After a certain age, you kind of have to take the reins and realize no one's going to give you peace. You just kind of
Find it.
have to find it on your own. No one's going to fill that void for you. You have to do it for yourself. Yeah, who's to say what the aunt's issue is? I can't say from that. But going back to this fiance, this boyfriend, he's had eating issues since he was 12. Can't really speculate, but if I was gonna to take a shot, I would wonder, is there any sexual abuse with him? Just because overeating can be cause for many things, but sometimes when people make an effort to change their appearance, you could say, well, he didn't make an effort. It just sort of happened from anxious eating. Could say that, but a lot of the times, sometimes people subconsciously ruin their own appearance to make themselves less desirable.
Hide a little bit.
Yeah, to kind of hide. And so if I were to work with him, I wouldn't ask that question. But I would kind of go about it, be like, do you have anything that you need to work on that you've never allowed yourself to talk about?
Mm,
And we would do that, and hopefully he would take me up on that because I have a feeling he's got some dark stuff in there.
Something happened. Yeah.
Something's pretty serious happened to him. Something that maybe he's talked to his fiance about, maybe not. But when he's confronted with these strong personalities, his first instinct was to be quiet, and he's not really fighting back. He's just taking the abuse and looking at his fiance and hoping that she'll stand up for him, which she does, and that's great. That's great. But something dark is in there, and we would go in there and clean it up so it's not bothering him as much, so that it's not affecting his identity. One of the worst things that can happen after trauma is that it affects who you think you are.
Right.
And you have so many experiences in your life that don't affect who you think you are. Why are you going to let this one thing? And I understand why, but that's the mindset we need to take with memory reconsolidation is you've already forgotten 99.7% of your life. Let's
Right.
let this one memory fade into that ocean of memories you've allowed yourself to forget so that
Yeah.
the real you can shine forth. But yeah, something dark. Was he bullied? Was he beaten? Was he sexually abused? Maybe he was just verbally abused. We
Mm.
don't know. But I would hope that he would take me up on a no content session because he seems like he needs it, especially if he's still battling with his eating disorder. So
That
whatever's
way he doesn't have to talk about it. He doesn't have to relive something out loud during a
yeah,
no content session. He can just go
it just
through his mind and then
right. We'll just tackle
detract. Yeah.
each piece of that memory so and get it down to zero. And then
Yeah.
once we got it down to zero, he can change the story to whatever he wants it to be. Yeah, that's what we would do.
So
But
putting that aside though, going back to the original poster with this relationship with the aunt, like we say, like your family isn't meant to be someone specific for you, but she's still, whether she invites the aunt to the wedding or not, they're still going to have family gatherings together. Is there a way, like working on the relationship and those memories in her mind, like maybe that childhood memory where the aunt didn't help, would that help at least how she copes with the interactions with her aunt?
yes, yes, absolutely. And if her aunt has anything that she does that to this day, she does it repeatedly, almost on a daily occurrence. And she has something that she says, it always just feels like a needle. Her reaction to those things, while warranted, is a mini trance state. And so what we can do is we can pull her out of that trance of like, okay, when my aunt does this, I react this way. It immediately makes me
Sure.
angry, right?
Yeah.
And she's probably thinking about her aunt all day long,
And then you're like looking for it when you're in the conversation with your aunt.
expecting
Yeah.
it. And so when it happens, you know exactly what to do and when to do it.
Yeah.
So we would have her notice that intensity, and then we would begin to systematically break the trance of that reaction. All of this, it's memory work, but it's also basically breaking trances. And
Yeah.
it's something that's kind of hard to explain to someone until they do it. It's one of the reasons I recommend people using that free audio on the website that kind of shows like, okay,
Yeah.
allow yourself to feel it and that's come out. Going in and out of your feelings is the process of breaking the trance. If you allow yourself to stay in it, it's just going to get stronger. But if you purposefully go in and then purposefully pull yourself out, you can begin to break your brain's programmed behavior by breaking those trance states. But yeah, whatever her aunt's been doing to her, we can make that her have less of an emotional reaction to it and can
Mhm.
get it even down to a zero so that her aunt could say those things to her all day long and it just wouldn't phase her. It would just be like any other thing that you observe in nature. You don't get upset at watching birds fly across the sky. It'd be the same thing as sitting down with your aunt. It'd just be another part of the world around you. It just doesn't
Yeah.
affect everything that you have an emotional reaction to. You've assigned meaning to it yourself. And so we just changed that. We changed that. But yeah, I hear all this and I see all this. I see all this family interaction and dynamics, and the person that stands out to me the most though is that fiance. Um,
Hmm.
I think everyone could benefit from this work and this story, but I think the fiance, he's got something big going on in there. And power to her for getting with him and staying with him because it seems like it's really opened up something within her.
Yeah.
You know, we could say, well, she's really just kind of defending her younger self when she's defending him. It's like, yes, but she's also, you can tell that from being with him, she's she's allowed herself to be vulnerable with someone.
Yeah.
You can tell that
And
she
to
has a
step. step out of that family situation.
Yes, and she's finally allowing herself to talk and to heal. And
Yeah.
sometimes healing can involve some some heated exchanges.
Journey.
But for her, I think the biggest healing is coming from allowing herself to be vulnerable with this other person who in exchange is being vulnerable with her. And so that's actually really good. That's really healthy. But she is probably also using him as a metaphoric expression, and she sees a little bit of her younger self and he's getting attacked by the same people that she used to get attacked by.
Right.
At the end of the day, it seems like it's a good relationship, but he needs to heal from whatever's going on within there because people don't just overeat because they like to eat. There's an emotional reason. Like again, they're running away from something that's in
Yeah.
their head, some emotional program that's on loop that's either belittling them or reminding them of some horror. And it's just a little trance loop. We got to break that trance loop so that you can start living happier and healthier lives.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is a really good one for a lot of people because I read an article recently that said just family estrangements are on the rise in general. And I think it might be like a generational thing where millennials or Gen Z are just sort of like, I don't want to feel emotionally abused. Like if that's how they feel by their family. But it's like, what is, I don't know, it makes you really think like, what is family? What's the structure of a family? What's everybody's responsibilities or not their responsibilities, as we were saying earlier.
Right.
It's an interesting one, and I think it's on a lot of people's minds right now.
Well, that's the thing. Like wherever you go, there you are, right? So if you're
Yeah.
upset with someone in Richmond and you move to New York City, you're going to still be upset with them in New York City. So, it's kind of like what we began this episode with. You create holographic imprints of everyone, and they live within your mind. And so you got to make peace with those characters within your head, or else you're never going to be at peace. Everyone within you is you. Even if that person's in the room with you right now, you could pick up the phone and you could talk with them 2 seconds later. If they're in your head and you're thinking about them right now, that's just you interacting with you. And
Yeah.
so it's a shame that family estrangement is on the rise and people are going about healing in all the wrong ways.
Right.
You can't run away from your problems. They're going to follow you wherever you go. It's like my favorite SNL bit. If you are sad in let's say like if you are sad in New York, you will be sad in Italy.
Right. The Adam Sandler bit.
Yeah.
Put that
Very, very
that
true.
link in the description for people to
Yeah,
watch. I
yeah.
love that one. You'll be the same sad you. That's what he says.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway. All right, this was episode 3 of Internet. Are you okay? We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.